Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green, and welcome to my channel. Wherever you are, if you're heavy on Jets, the community Facebook page, or there's a bunch of Jet fans, maybe my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, or hell, even on my Twitter account, @BoyGreen25, verified. Yes, sir. Make sure you guys stop and drop by because we have a special episode. And every Monday, we talk to an expert from whoever the heck the Jets are playing that week. We're fresh off of a bye week, and we're about to get into it with a very special guest. But before we get there, a couple of quick shout outs here. First off, you check out this shirt I'm wearing. That's right, Arm Rookie Quarterback. That is U Stadium Shop. So go ahead and check it out. You can get a badass one yourself and slap that on. Again, U Stadium. Check out their shop for more details on that. Also, feel free to hit that follow button. You can do that and make sure you follow me on all forms of social media. And it is simple. And it is on that little banner that is now the ticker that's showing beneath @BoyGreen25, BOY Green the color 25 everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. With that being said, let's bring in our special guest because, of course, it is Jets Patriots week. And we found our guy a couple weeks ago. So let's bring him back on. That is, as we're adding to the stream, none other than Pat Lane, the Patriot Nation podcast, a little Pat's pulpit action. And Pat is now here with us right now, live this time around. What's up, Pat?
Yep. What's going on, Paul? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm going to be honest. Last night, I was at a friend's house as Jets bye week, so I got to kick up the feet. I knew the Jets weren't going to lose, so that's always good. And I'm like, hey, let's watch this Patriots-Cowboys game with my buddy who's a Cowboys fan. I'm going to be honest. That was a wild game by every definition of the word. So let's start off there. The Patriot perspective. Okay. Trayvon Diggs. It looks like the Patriots are driving like, oh boy. Trayvon Diggs pick six. Oh, it looks all over. The rookie quarterback makes the crucial mistake. Oh, terrible. And just seconds later, touchdown, Kendrick Bourne. Oh, wow. Walk off. Oh, that Trayvon Diggs gets toasted. I mean, take us through the emotional roller coaster of that end.
I mean, it was unbelievable, right? Cowboys missed the field goal, so the Patriots are up by one, and you're looking at it like, oh my God, like they're gonna pull this off. Now we're like, all right, they need 2 first downs, so they run the ball on first down and pick up a yard. You're like, all right, well that's nothing. Cowboys call timeout. Then they take a delay game penalty after a timeout. You can't do that. I mean, that's embarrassing. So now they were probably going to have to pass anyways because they needed 2 first downs. It was like about 2:20 left to go in the game. So they had enough time where you can't just run the clock out. You need to get a first down or 2. So whatever. Now they throw, and he threw it, hit Bourne in the hands, but it was really too far for Bourne. So, and then Diggs, of course, picks it off and takes it back. And we're just like, oh my God, like unbelievable, right? And then the next play, I mean, the one thing that Mac has done so well, really since the beginning of training camp, is that every time he's struggled, every time he's done something stupid or played bad or whatever, he always bounces back from it. And I mean, the same receiver, the same cornerback, 75-yard touchdown pass on the next play. And it was like, it was just unreal, dude. And so, we're going nuts in the stadium, freaking out, like unbelievable that he did that. And then, of course, Cowboys drive down and tie the game, which like it was 3rd and 25. And so what Belichick smartly did was it was an incompletion on second. So it was 2nd and 10. There was an incompletion on 2nd and 10, and there were 2 penalties. There was a holding call on the Cowboys, and then there was, after the play, a 15-yard penalty. So you could have assessed both penalties, but it would have still been 2nd down. So it would have been 2nd and 35, which would have been crazy. But the idea was, okay, it's 2nd and 35, great. But if it's 4th and whatever, like, you're going to have to either try kicking a long field goal, or you're going to have to try to go for it, right? So, and it's 3rd and 25, and they give up a friggin' 24-yard completion on 3rd and 25, and it's like, you got to be kidding me, man. And so they end up kicking a field goal and tying the game at the last second, and then Patriots, get ultra conservative and don't go for it right around midfield in overtime and kick it to Dak, and they score the touchdown at the end. And it's frustrating it's just like it's right there. And the NFL now is all about analytics, and it's all about, we know now it's better for you to go for it on 4th down than it is to punt it. It is, it is. And they've been doing this over and over. They did it against the Buccaneers twice, once at the end of the half where they punted to Brady, which, like, as all Jets fans know, if you punt to Brady with under 2 minutes left to go in the half, he's going to score. Like, it doesn't matter if he's done nothing all game long. You know he's going to score. You saw the guy for 20 freaking years, and instead of going for it on the Bucs side of the 50, you punted to him, and surprise, surprise, they drive down and kick a field goal. And then they attempted a 56-yard field goal in the pouring rain instead of going for it on 4th and 2. And it's like, and then again, as Jets fans will tell you, even if he hit the field goal, you're up 1 with a minute and a half left. Brady's got 2 timeouts. Game's over. Like, you're losing anyways, even if you hit the field goal. So it's like, that was dumb. And then the Cowboys, they had 4th and 3 at the 46. They punted. The Cowboys' ensuing possession led to a touchdown. They had 4th and 2 at the 50. They punted. The Cowboys' ensuing possession led to a field goal. They had 4th and 3 at the 46. They punted in overtime, and of course, the Cowboys scored a touchdown. So 3 times they had an opportunity to go for it on 4th and short, right around midfield. They didn't do it, and the Cowboys, I would say 17 points, but 16 points because they didn't kick the extra point, obviously in overtime. So 16 to 35 points come off of those possessions right there. Inexcusable, completely inexcusable. They have to change that. But they played great against the Cowboys, but it's like, God damn it. Like, at some point, they got to win one of these games.
So, time to fire Belichick?
Yeah. I don't think so. I'm sure Adam Gase is out there somewhere. You never know. Maybe he'll come in.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So let me ask you. So this is just a weird one.
Yep.
Is there a pattern here? It seems like there isn't because there's too small of a sample size. So you see the Tampa Bay game, and that almost has to be considered in its own realm from what it is, emotions and everything that was invested in that. While, Belichick and everybody else said it was another game. Obviously, it wasn't in week 4. But there's that emotional game that I see, and I'm like, wow. And obviously, the Patriots competed in that one. And then the next week, it's really, and I was in the New England area when they played Houston, and I'm like, oh God,
that was bad.
Patriots team looks terrible. And I thought, okay, so let me see. They just expended a lot of energy in the whole Patriot week. Maybe Tampa Bay Patriot, that maybe that was it. And then the next week was down. Now I see another one here, super emotional, Dallas overtime, all this stuff, and I'm like, is this week back down? Thoughts?
It's possible. It's certainly possible. I think. The only thing is, and we talked about this last time, there are 2 things that Bill Belichick hates in this world.
I tried it. I keep trying it. Yeah.
The New York Jets and the New York Jets. That's it. He hates the Jets. So the Jets are never taken lightly. They could be 0-17. It doesn't matter. He's going to, it's Belichick's Super Bowl twice a year. He can't lose to the Jets. And so I think that this is, and they're also 0-4 at home. At this point, we're looking at it saying, you have to freaking win at home at some point. They're 0-4 at home for the first time since '93, and so it's just you have to get a win at home, right? And so I think that everything is going to be focused this week on the Jets and trying to beat the Jets. And I think Houston's just so bad that they were like, we can go down there and coast. And this team isn't good enough to do that, right? Last year's team wasn't good enough to do that, but 2019, those teams were good enough to just go down there and coast. Some teams are, but you're just not good enough to do that anymore, right? And so there will be no overlooking the Jets because, again, Bill is no, this is the Jets. It's Jets week. The Titans overlooked the Jets, weren't paying attention, played a crap game. The Jets played great, and they beat them, right? And that's not going to happen to the Patriots because the Jets might play well, but the Patriots will not be overlooking the Jets.
Now, again, I keep trying this every time we talk. It's only been 2 interviews so far, so every future one.
You might as well give it a shot. What the hell, you know what I mean?
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. So let's go back. I don't want to, but you know what? For old time's sake, let's go back to that Jets-Patriots game because I'm going to be honest. Everything that was so it's Jets-Patriots week, and for Jet fans, and I don't know if it's the same. It's interesting. Let me ask you: I get it from a Belichick thing. He hates the Jets, obviously. For you guys, does the Jets week mean anything else as opposed to playing the Bills or Dolphins? I've never asked a Patriots person that question before.
I hate losing to the Jets. I don't know if I hate the Jets necessarily. Okay. It gives you a gross feeling to even think about losing to the Jets. I'm like, no, we're supposed to beat the Jets every single time. So you lose the Jets and you're like, oh God, that sucked, but I don't necessarily think about. I'm not like, well, at least we beat the Jets this year. Like that's like 2 automatic wins as far as I'm concerned. So if we lose to the Jets, it's like, God damn it, something went wrong, you know? Those few years at Mark Sanchez was like, what the hell's going on here? We're supposed to beat the Jets every time, you know?
And see, so from my side, I hate the Patriots. So if like somehow we talked about it actually, in some of the crappier seasons, if the Jets could have, last year's a good example, 2-14. Hey, I don't give a flying hoot. 3-13 sounds great. Beat the Patriots. That's good. Yep. So again, this always carries a little extra chutzpah. So going back to week 2, obviously Jets Patriots, at least from Jet fans in my perspective, this always means a lot. So you have week 2. The home opener, first home game with fans since 2019. So there was the fans were crazy. You had the initial strip that we thought, I can't remember who the player was, but I know Marcus May was the one on the Jet side, which it may have been Kendrick Bourne actually, who they thought they ripped the ball free at the beginning of the game, like on the second Patriots play. Yes. I think that was Bourne. But anywho, the point is that, there's so much hype and belief. And oh boy, this is it. This is it. We can send the Patriots down. This would be terrific. And of course, we all know what happened. Zach Wilson threw 4 god-awful picks, but I have not talked to a Patriots fan about that game. Was it some Bill Belichick wizardry? Was it his amazing thing against rookies? Was it just a youngster just doing too much? What was your perspective on Zach Wilson's blow-up?
I mean, like, they didn't do anything. They did nothing. They didn't do anything exotic against him. It
didn't seem like it.
He just made some really bad throws, like some really bad throws. And the thing with him is that he's a young kid. Like, I think some of the stuff I've seen from him is pretty impressive. I mean, the touchdown pass he threw to Corey Davis was unbelievable. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you drool over, where you're like, there are not many guys in the league that can make that throw, And so the fact that he can make that throw is really impressive. But then you kind of go back and you're like, okay, but can he read a defense? Can he make the right throw? I mean, 3 or 4 of those. Well, I shouldn't say 4 of them. One of them was a drop, but not a great throw, but maybe could have been had. One of them was just 2 of them were just what are you looking at? Like the McCourty interception was in the middle of nowhere. McCourty wasn't even 10 yards. He was 10 yards away from every other receiver, and he threw it right to McCourty. It just didn't make any sense. So, I mean, it wasn't Belichick. Belichick didn't do anything. It's just he threw interceptions on his first 2 passes of the game. So it was just some nice plays, and the Patriots are the Patriots. So sometimes it kind of gets in other teams' heads, I feel like, even though they're not really the Patriots anymore, but you know what I mean? Like the Brady Patriots anymore, but it's, I mean, no, not that I saw of. No, I think I don't expect him to struggle quite as much this week because I think he's been better the last few weeks. But he's playing on the road. He's playing in New England. It's always a tough place to play for the Jets. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to throw. I don't know if he's going to look as bad as he did that week. But I don't know if he's going to light the world on fire either.
See, that's the thing for me, and I'll be very candid and open as we're just kind of talking about this openly here live. Again, thanks to everybody who's watching, heavy on Jets, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you for everyone who's chiming in. You can also drop comments in if you'd like. We can try to address some questions. So wherever any of you guys, I see a lot of people are jumping in. Any of you guys, wherever you're watching, feel free to drop in questions. Me and Pat will talk about it with Jets Patriots week this week. But one thing for me, and I talked about it in the mailbag I released earlier on Twitter this morning, is that the thing I kind of fear a little bit about this Patriots game is, so Zach Wilson threw 4 picks the first time. Maybe this time around, he's like, you know what? I can't let that happen. I got to prove to my teammates that was just a complete, facade, the whole ghost thing, all that crap from the Darnold days and all that. No, I'm going to light them up. I'm going to do the Tennessee thing to the Patriots. I'm going to be slicing and dicing, and Belichick is all great. That's what I fear. I fear that he's going to try to hero ball it. Now, maybe he sees a Patriots game and it's something different, but my fear is he tries to play hero ball. He doesn't try to just do the layups and do the little stuff. I feel like he's going to try to swing for the fences, and that obviously could lead to another implosion. That's what I fear anyway, just openly from the Jets side of things in that.
I think that's totally reasonable for you to fear that, because for a rookie quarterback, and especially for a rookie quarterback that has so much on his plate, the Patriots have a pretty solid running game and are reliant on their running game for the most part. And I was happy with the way they pushed the ball downfield a heck of a lot more yesterday. But they're not asking Mac to do a ton, right? Whereas I feel like the Jets are like, okay, we don't have a running game, and go throw the ball 45 times and see what we can do. So I feel like from that perspective of it, yeah, you could certainly see why he might, why he might feel that way. Like, it's all on me. I need to do it. I played so bad against them before. We're going to go to New England and win, and it's going to be because of me. And if that starts happening, yeah, I mean, he starts throwing the ball over the yard, and look out, like that's where really bad things start to happen. But I don't know. I mean, I also think too, like there's something to be said for him kind of understanding what happened and saying, all right, I'm going to go out there and sling it anyways. And, and see what happens,
All right, let's go to Mac Jones. So he is absolutely polarizing among the Jets fan base. Some people, if they squint hard enough, they're like, Brady, doing all the Brady stuff, short intermediate stuff. And then for me, I look and I'm like, again, you can feel free to slap me around as a Patriots fan here, but I watch Mac Jones. I've seen a bunch of his games just because, for whatever reason. I don't know, I'm a freak. But, so I watch a bunch of her games and I just go, man, he just takes what's there, which I don't know if that's a bad thing, but like at the same time, Zach Wilson, we'll use as the example. Is this emotional roller coaster? Like you were seeing, whoa, like that. Wow, you just said it earlier. Wow, only a few quarterbacks can make that throw. And then you see the interception. You're like, what in God's green earth? Who the hell was he throwing it to? And on New England, I just see him just going, foo, foo, foo. And it's just all like close. It's close to it. Doesn't look like he takes a lot of chances. Is he playing scared out there? Give me again, you've seen obviously every snap, every game. I've seen just a couple of full games. I haven't seen every game of the whole year, but I've seen several. And to me, it just looks like, but again, yesterday, he was 10 for 10 at the end of the half. I'm like, wow, he just takes what's there. But again, I also, from my perspective, it doesn't seem like he takes a lot of chances. So is that really true?
Yes and no. I do think like sometimes he is willing to kind of put the 2 touchdown passes he's thrown to Hunter Henry in the last 2 weeks. One of them in the end zone against Houston, which was a nice throw.
Yep.
And then last week or last night, I guess, kind of hung one up there and if Hunter Henry doesn't make a play on that, it's picked, right? Yeah. And so it's one of those situations where it's like, I'm my guy, I'm going to lead him there, I'm going to get him there, right? Obviously, the Kendrick Bourne touchdown pass was a great throw, and that's into double coverage. That's trusting his guy to go make a play. So, he's certainly taken those chances a little bit, but he's absolutely willing to kind of take what's there. And I think,
is that too called?
Well, yes, but I do think the Patriots are coaching him differently than the Jets are coaching Wilson, right? Because
no question.
He doesn't have those. He's not that guy. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not going to roll out and kill you throwing the ball 70 yards on the field. He's not going to do that. That's not who he is. But he is a guy that can read the field, go through his progressions quickly, understand what's there, and understand what the defense is going to give you. And then at times he'll check it down. And there have been times, and also his offensive line's been trash. So like there are times when, you have, okay, he goes back to pass and he goes to the check down. And as he goes to the check down, there's someone breaking open 15 yards downfield. And it's kind of like, we wish you would have seen that. Right. And so, but that's something. I mean, he's played 6 games, right? So I think for them, and I'll never forget when Brady came in and replaced Bledsoe, and they were talking about, Bledsoe always looked deep and then worked his way back, right? Whereas Brady always looked short and worked his way up, right? And so it was kind of like, I'm going to throw to the guy that's open, and if that guy's going to get me 8 yards, that's fine. I don't need to pick up 30 yards. If I can pick up 8 yards on every play, we're going to score a touchdown, right? So like, it's one of those things where, take what the defense gives you. At a certain point, you can't keep checking it down to your running backs. But like, if I'm gonna pick up a 7-yard pass over the middle, fine, I'll take that. And then eventually, I'll get to that point where I understand the defense and I can see the defense and read the defense as well as not that it'll ever be at Brady's level, but see the way the field that Brady does, and he's like, okay, I know what I have. So yeah, maybe I can go to this guy, but I could also go 25 yards down the field too. So I don't mind it, and he doesn't have that kind of explosiveness to be throwing it down 50 yards down the field. But at the same time, I've seen flashes of it from him. I've seen flashes of it. And so I'm happy about where he's at right now. I personally think he's the guy. Looks like he's the guy, right? And he's got a long way to go, but he's going to have to progress. It seems like he's progressing nicely. He's going to have to progress in his reads, in his feel for the pocket, in his like checks at the line of scrimmage and stuff, like checking in and out of things. But I've been very happy with what I've seen so far. And yeah, you're not going to get that sexy Mahomes, Josh Allen, Wilson, Lawrence. You're not getting that. But like, that's okay, right? Because look at how long people talk shit about Brady for years. That he never threw it deep. He always checked down, blah blah blah. All this, and it's like, oh well, all we did was win Super Bowl. So like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like you can say all that. You know what I mean? Like you could say, oh yeah, he's like, but then Brady's the greatest player of all time. So like, it's one of those things where like I'll take that method. He'll never be as good as Brady because nobody will ever be as good as Brady. But like, if he can get to like 65% of what Brady was, now you have a team that can compete, right? And as long as you build enough around him, then you can say, okay, if he can be that guy. Kirk Cousins is a great example. Kirk Cousins is a guy that he's a great player in the regular season. And then he gets the playoffs and he poops his pants, right? If you can be Kirk Cousins in the regular season all year long, and then you get in the playoffs and play the same way, well, now you're talking. Now you're looking at a player that it's a good player, right? And so, like, you know, Cousins is the guy that I kind of look at, and I'm like, okay, if he can be that, then we're good. He just has to not poop his pants in the playoffs, you know, like, and like if Cousins didn't do that, I mean, think about how good Kirk Cousins would be if he actually played well in big moments.
Yeah,
you know, so like.
That's fair. Also, I see people are jumping in the chat here. Shout out to DJ. Apparently, we're getting some Patriot fans sneaking in here. What up? Rare that I find a Jets podcast. Cool to see. Well, hit the subscribe button. I don't discriminate. Patriot fan, Dolphins fan, just hit the subscribe button. It's all the same. So, like wherever you are, follow, hit the likes, hit the follows. Also, jump in with any questions as well. So, let me ask you, because obviously, whatever you're about to say right now is gospel. It is locked in. Okay.
Of course.
So 6 weeks into the season, I have to ask you, what is Mac Jones's ceiling?
I think it's Kirk Cousins. I mean, I really do. I think Kirk Cousins is the model, and people will cringe at that because of what he does in the playoffs. But again, like I said, if you can be a Kirk Cousins who plays the same way in the playoffs as he does in the regular season, I mean, right now, Kirk Cousins is putting up crazy numbers right now.
Yeah,
I think he has in the last, they said in the last like 2.5 years, he has like 11 games of 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, which is tied with Aaron Rodgers for the most in the NFL at that time. So like, he's a good player in the regular season, right? And so he just, in big moments, in big games, when you need him to come through, he doesn't. And that's his bugaboo, right? But I feel like if he can be that guy and also have the I guess the fortitude perhaps, right, to come through in those moments, now you're talking about, okay, he's not Brady, but he's Kirk Cousins, but actually good in the playoffs in big moments, you know?
Well, interesting. Okay. Again, I think, as you say, a lot of people perception-wise go, ugh, Kirk Cousins. Then look at the numbers, like, not bad.
Right. So exactly.
A little bit of whatever that gif is, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly it. All right. Again, everybody, feel free to keep hopping in here. I also want to know, I don't even know if you have the answer to this. What the hell is happening to the Patriots offensive line? I see all this musical chairs, Trent Brown, this guy, this. What is happening down there? And then Isaiah Wynn, hey, man, he said like the same answer for every question, looking ahead to next week or some guy on to Cincinnati. We had that again in New England. What is going on with that offensive line, man?
What a complete and utter disaster. I'm pretty sure that James Ferentz had a 38.3 grade from PFF yesterday. Not great. Not great.
Is that low?
So it wasn't good. So in my opinion, I mean, Isaiah Wynn at this point, he's getting one more shot. As far as I'm concerned, Isaiah Wynn gets one more shot. And then if he doesn't play well, see you later. Get the hell out of here. Like I'm all set. I know they picked up his 5th-year option, which is $10 million guaranteed. But I thought that was the right decision before the season started because, you know, he had trouble staying healthy. But when he was healthy, he was pretty good. He wasn't great, but he was pretty good. And so, like, okay, if you have a decent left tackle for $10 million, isn't bad, you know, like, and then you have it locked up. He's guaranteed. But for me personally, now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, we're going to get this kid killed. I mean, yesterday, I don't know if you saw the hit that he took yesterday when Kajus just got absolutely lambasted. And he just got killed. I mean, Randy Gregory just had a clean shot. And it was just like,
Nice.
And I think Max, you see the toughness of him just kind of popping back up. I mean, obviously a little slow to get up, but
Yeah,
got back up and was fine. But it was just like,
Yeah.
my God, man, and you just can't you can't let that happen again. So in my opinion, they moved on Wenu. They were very hesitant to move on Wenu to right tackle. They finally did it, and he looked very good out there at right tackle. So he played well at right tackle last year. So the way I feel about it is that I think so. Trent Brown comes back after the Jets game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully, but he's eligible to come back after the Jets game because IR stint is 3 weeks, right? So he's eligible to come back for that game. So my thought with it is you give Isaiah Wynn this week. If he sucks again this week, then you freaking throw him on the bench. You throw him on the bench. You take Trent Brown, who was the Patriots' right tackle, and you move him back to left tackle where he was so good in 2018 with the Patriots. Brown plays left tackle. You move Karras to left guard where Onwenu was, and then you have Shaq Mason at right guard and Onwenu at right tackle. And I think that that's your best five. I really do think that that's your best five. And you say, okay, that's what we're rolling with because, yeah, Isaiah Wynn, first-round pick, $10 million, it doesn't matter. Like, at some point, you just have to go with the best players in the field, right? And so, Karras, I thought, played a pretty good game. He's pretty good. He's not great, but he's pretty good. But, at this point with Wynn, it's not going to work. It's not working. It's not working right now. So, and I think, too, some of the stuff, I think he said, like, I have to get better or something. Some of the stuff stems from the COVID stuff, and I don't know if he's vaccinated or not. I don't think he wanted to talk about it, and so it was this whole thing where he, so it wasn't just the play, but obviously he played like absolute garbage. So that didn't help.
No. All right, let's go through a couple more things here. First off, tight end usage. I remember the first time we talked, I had fears of Gronk and Hernandez again. Yep. Now, after watching the past couple games, I don't have those fears, but it seems like Hunter Henry's finding himself a little bit, which is nice. But Jonnu Smith, that thing's still weird. What is up with the overall tight end usage? When they signed one of them, I went, oh, okay, so that's it. And then they signed another one and went, oh, wow, they've got a plan for these guys. I haven't seen the plan.
No, me neither. And we'll see what happens. I mean, ultimately, Henry and Kendrick Bourne talked last week about how Jonnu's breakout game is coming, and we're going to see it from him soon. I haven't seen it yet, and I've been surprised. I thought they were going to use him. I thought he was going to be like their gadget guy, and they were going to use him everywhere. Similar to what they did with Hernandez, where it's like he'll be in the backfield, he'll be at a wing, he'll be a tight end, he'll be split out wide, he'll be in the slot. Like you won't know where he is. Right, exactly, right. Because he did that. He did that a little bit in Tennessee. So I thought that's what we'd see. We haven't really seen that. He's been inconsistent catching the ball. He's fumbled once or twice. Like he just, he's a head case right now. And so, and then in Houston, he ran like 6 routes in Houston. So they basically benched him for all intents and purposes down in Houston. So, but Hunter Henry, like you said, it looked pretty good. They went away from him. He only had 2 receptions yesterday. I think he only got targeted twice. Wow. He did have the 20-yard touchdown catch. Was a nice, really nice catch. But, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. But I do think that they're going to need to play these guys more because, you need more consistent catches of the ball, right? Kendrick Ward had the 1 yard, had the 1 long touchdown pass. Jacoby Myers had a decent game yesterday. Nelson Aguilar had 1 catch. Like, it's not enough. It's not enough. You got to get tight ends involved. You got to get them catching the ball. N'Keal Harry's been friggin' terrible. So, you have to get something out of these guys because you just don't have enough offensive weapons without them.
That Aguilar drop was brutal yesterday. I mean, absolutely brutal. I'm probably preaching to the choir over here about that. But and also the other one, again, I thought Jacoby Myers, which is just a weird stat. This dude has never had a touchdown. I thought, oh, boy, he finally got it. Then late penalty. I'm like, guess not. I guess that continues. So, yeah, what also my question is, I don't know if you have an answer for it, but what was the plan at wide receiver 2? They aren't the stereotypical, oh, wow, Megatron, oh, wow, Julio, oh, wow, this. When they grab guys like Kendrick Bourne, interesting. Nelson Aguilar, wow, okay, vertical threat. Will they try to push it a little bit? Interesting. All these guys they brought in, I was just like, everyone raised my eyebrow, went, that's interesting, weird, okay. And then this year, it just doesn't seem like we're getting the proper use out of really any of them.
Yeah, I think this is it's a Brady thing. I really think it is. Like, look at the weapons that Brady had. He never, outside of 2007, he never had that one guy, right? Now, he developed that rapport with Edelman, and Edelman turned into a great receiver. He developed a rapport with Welker, and Welker turned into a great receiver. But he never had that like number one guy, right? Obviously, he had Gronk for a long time, right? But like they never had that wide receiver. Everyone's like, whoa, like that guy's nasty. One of the best 5 receivers in the game, right? So I think they kind of just figured we can get by with 3 number 2 receivers and kind of go from there, which is basically what they have. You know, Aguilar's a number 2, Myers is a number 2, and Bourne's a number 2. Like that, they're all number 2 receivers, maybe number 3 receivers. And they're like, yeah, we can get by with that. We don't need that guy on the outside that's going to win every single one-on-one matchup, which makes it even more curious that they whiff so bad on N'Keal, because I just don't, and it goes back to talent evaluation. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know how anybody could watch N'Keal Harry, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, and Deebo Samuel and think that he's the best out of those 4. I don't know how anyone could ever think that, especially playing in the Pac-12 where they don't even play defense. Like it makes no sense how they could ever justify taking him before those other 3 guys, right? And Deebo is a guy. He's funny because Deebo, like, he doesn't even run routes. He just catches the ball. I mean, like he has like negative air yards when the ball is thrown to him, but he's so good with the ball in his hands that, like, those guys were clearly better than N'Keal going into the draft. Everybody knew it. Everybody had him mocked below them, and then they took him above them. And it's just kind of like, I don't know what you're looking at, right? They struck out with Chad Jackson in 2006, but Chad Jackson ran like a 4.25 40. He had tons of speed. Like you could see things from him at least. N'Keal was kind of like, oh, he used his body against 5'9" corners that don't play press. Like, yeah, okay, good. But like, so what? It's in the freaking Pac-12. It doesn't matter, Like, it's just, I never understood the pick. It was obviously a bad pick. And it's like you keep going backwards, right? That's 2019. 2018, you got Sony Michel and Isaiah Wynn, and Wynn looks like a bust. And Michel, I think Michel, of course, right? Yeah. I mean, that's, like he scores 6 touchdowns in the playoffs, you win the Super Bowl, like, and Patriots fans will argue about the fact that, you could have won the Super Bowl no matter what, but you were looking at it saying, this is it. We need to win the Super Bowl this year because we're pushing for it. We need a running game. We need a consistent running back. We're drafting one, and sure, you could have had guys that would have helped you longer term, but frankly, you got a Super Bowl out of it. He was your number 1 running back. So like from that, now, I mean, should they have drafted Nick Chubb over him? Yeah, probably. That would have been nice, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, you got your Super Bowl out of it. So like, I'll take it.
Sure.
Although he still wasn't necessarily the right guy, but like, he did enough his rookie year,
Yeah. All right. Let's get a couple more quickies in here before we let you go. Again, Pat Lane is in here, our Patriots guru, joining us. It's just Patriots week, and we always talk early in any game week against whoever we're going to end up playing. Again, the Patriots defense for years, Bill Belichick, Wizard, all these guys, and Jamie Collins is back for like the 400th time. How does he keep coming back? Does he just have like a permanent locker room that you never change? Like his jersey number is always there. You may turn off the light, but he'll be back. And
he's been paid. Like, he's been paid so much by everyone else. I mean, someone did like a breakdown of the guaranteed money he's gotten. He's gotten like $7 million from the Patriots and like 35 from the Lions and like something stupid.
Like to be honest, it feels like a Greg Popovich kind of thing where he's great in the system, right? And then anywhere he goes, garbage, trash, and then he brings it back. He's back to a superstar. Like it's just a very weird dynamic. But feel free to comment on Jamie, who apparently keeps making money from everybody else, and then always permanently having a job back home in New England, and just the defense in general. Because I didn't know if they were going to be world beaters. All of a sudden, Zach Wilson just seemingly threw it to Patriots left and right. It didn't seem to matter. How good is the Patriots defense this year anyway?
Not great. I mean, they're okay. They're all right. Christian Barmore looks like a stud.
Sure.
In the second round, he's played really well. He had a bunch of hurries last night. Matthew Judon is their best defensive player by a wide margin. He looks unbelievable. He was gassed at the end of the night last night, unfortunately. They played like 87 snaps or something stupid like that. So I guess understandably so, but I think the defense overall is fine. I think JT Jackson looks like he's turning into a cornerback 1. I really do, which is good for them. I think they botched the Gilmore
Yeah,
situation.
what happened there? They so like I thought they could have traded him. I thought, of course, Gilmore's
Yeah.
Gilly Lock or whatever his handle is. I thought he was great.
Right.
Obviously, he's been trashing the Jets, regardless of what team he played for in the division over the bunch of years. I thought he was spectacular. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I see they release him. Like, what? And then eventually, it ends up being, they announce it, get the trade in, and then end up sending him away for like a 6th. But like that seems like a shitty return on value for a guy who's a superstar.
Yeah, it's an awful return. And look, I mean, the situation was what it was when we got to it. But this has been coming for 2 years now. Like, you knew JC had been playing well, and that him and Gilmore are both going to be up in the same year. You knew that. Like, last year when they gave him money from this year's deal, you knew Gilmore wasn't going to play under the $7 million, and you knew that him and JC were going to be up after this year. So you had a year and a half to trade him. And you just never did. They never did. If they had traded him at the trade deadline last year, they would have gotten something for him. And I know maybe you didn't want to tank, whatever. Fine, whatever. I mean, you can explain it away. Like, that's fine. But like, ultimately, he got hurt anyways, and they played fine down the stretch defensively. So even if you had traded him last year for a 2nd-round pick, you might have said, oh, it's a little deflating or whatever, but we're not going to the Super Bowl. Like, the Bills are significantly better than us. Like, you could just look at it. Just look at what's going on and say, we're not going to be able to re-sign him, so we're going to trade him now, Then they had the offseason. Yeah, he was hurt. Okay. But like, you could have traded him at the draft. You would have gotten something for him. Now, maybe you would have only gotten a 3rd-round pick for him, and maybe people wouldn't have been happy about that. But like, you don't have a choice. Either you have to be willing to extend him, or you have to be willing to cut bait. They traded him for a 6th-round pick in 2023. Now, this is what I'm trying to explain to people.
Okay.
If the Carolina Panthers decide not to re-sign Stephon Gilmore and let him walk, they will get a better compensatory pick back than the one they gave up for him. So the Carolina Panthers will have traded up in the draft to rent Stephon Gilmore for a year. I mean, that's how bad the trade was, right? Like, that's how bad the trade was, that they will literally
heard that, but that's terrific.
Yes, they will literally trade up in the draft to have traded for Stephon Gilmore. It's like, what in the world are we doing? I mean, they literally would have been better off just throwing him an IR for the year and saying, okay, you're done. You know what? You're done. You're not coming back. See you later. You're on IR. And then let him walk at the end of the year and then get the compensatory pick. They really would have been better off doing that, and they didn't. And so, whatever. Culture and all that stuff, and maybe he was bitching behind the scenes. I don't know, but like, it's just one of those situations where it's like, that's just inexcusable from them to get that little back from, from a guy that was your biggest asset. You had him and JC Jackson. It was like, you have to do something with one of them's got to go. You couldn't re-sign both of them, so one of them's got to go. I assume they wanted to keep Gilmore because they thought he'd be a cheaper option, and he wasn't. And but anything about Stephon Gilmore, he's not going to be a cheaper option. He wants to be paid at the top of the market, which he deserves, but he wants that. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking, to be honest with you. But anyways, but we're there now. So I just feel like the defense overall is fine. They're fine. They've gotten some pressure on guys. The secondary is not great. They're okay, but they're not great. They played decent against the Cowboys yesterday, but the Cowboys had one drive where they had under 40 yards. And it was a 3-and-out, three plays, one yard. But beyond that, every other one of their drives went for 40 yards or more. And so, that's where I look at it and say, well, okay, that's not good enough, right? That's not good enough. Now, obviously, they turned the ball over twice in the red zone. But if they didn't, by the way, Dak's interception was a terrible throw. He had the guy wide open, and he just threw it behind him. Yeah. That should have been a touchdown. Then Dak gets the ball knocked out at the 1-inch line. Terrible play by Prescott. That could have easily been a touchdown. So, you're looking at it saying, if Dallas doesn't make those, and listen, the Patriots capitalized on the mistakes that Dallas made, but if Dallas doesn't make those bad mistakes, that could have been a blowout last night, right? So it's it's some of those things where you kind of look back and say, how well did the defense really play, right? And so the defense is a concern for me moving forward. For sure, Jalen Mills in that second cornerback slot is not great. And Jonathan Jones, if he's banged up, is kind of up and down. It's you just don't have a lot of depth, in the secondary, and the front's fine. The front's fine. They played well against the run last night, but they're just not. Yeah, they're just fine. I thought they were going to be elite this year, and they're just fine.
By the way, I don't know if any Patriot fans, I'm not in Patriot circles, but, Jalen Mills, you want to show a little effort on that CD Lamb thing? I just saw on the replay, just showed like he was like half jogging when CD caught the ball and then
It was
CD's
not
like
great.
slow walking it in there. Dude, it's overtime. It's do or die. What are you doing, man? But
He's just not CD. I mean, CD in his defense, CD is an elite wide receiver,
yeah,
and he's significantly faster than Jalen Mills. You come out in a zero blitz and you don't get pressure, and then it's like no chance.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, again, we could talk for hours, but we all have lives to get to. Before we get out of here, you already know what question is coming because I ended it on the last one, and I'm sure you nailed it, picking a Patriots victory. So let's see it this time. Give us some kind of predictions. It could be, of course, we'd want to score a prediction, but anything extra with the game that you anticipate. Maybe that Jonnu Smith breakout game. Hey, Kyle Pitts had that for the Falcons against the Jets. Is there something you're willing to throw down right here on a Monday ahead of Jets Patriots week here?
Yeah, well, Mac's going to get his first career home victory,
Wow.
which would be nice on Sunday. So that'll be good. And
Put
I
him
just
on the
think,
Oracle.
I know, right? I think, I just think for the Patriots, it's one of those situations where you can't have a Texans game, right? You can't have a repeat of that game. Like I want to see 60 minutes from them where they are committed and they're playing their best football because that's really what I want to see. And listen, the Jets suck this year. Like it is what it is. Like that's going to be the case. And for you guys, it's kind of like, all right, like, and it's funny because we're in the same boat. Like I don't care what the record is. Ultimately, I don't care. Like it's all about Mac Jones and Mac Jones progressing and seeing what he can see. And so Zach Wilson, I think, will be significantly better this week than he was in week 2. I don't know what that means, but it's pretty tough to be difficult, pretty tough to be worse, I guess. But I do think that I'm expecting them to. I like the running backs rotation they did last night.
Yeah, that was
for people that watched it. You kind of had Harrison and Stevenson kind of splitting drives. I love that. I really thought that was really a good way to keep Harris fresh, but also kind of mix it up with the defense because Stevenson's so good out of the backfield receiving. And so I like that a lot. I hope that they stick with that. But I'm expecting my prediction for the game. I'll tell you. So I think score wise, I think like 31-17 Patriots. And then I'm predicting Damian Harris to go over 100 yards again with another touchdown. So,
oh boy, not one of those ones where he's dragging multiple Jet defenders.
That'd be nice. That one would be nice too. But we'll see.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
Well, that happened last night against the Cowboys too. They did the Cowboys do the same thing.
That's true.
Dragged Cowboys like 10 yards or something like that.
Yeah, he's been wicked impressive. But if I've known anything from watching the Patriots over the years, I've never attached any one Patriots guy ever since, I guess, going back to the Corey Dillon days. So besides that, I've just been, they're just going to keep running a bunch of guys out there. But the Damian kid, obviously, has been pretty good.
By the way, Jonas Gray signing. There was an alumni signing at the game last night. Halftime, I was like, Jonas Gray ran for 200 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Right? Yeah, I remember the Jonas Gray.
And then he forgot to set his alarm clock.
Off the face of the earth. Like,
yeah,
that guy.
Forgot to set it. He forgot to set his alarm clock and slept in for a meeting, and they cut him.
Wow.
It's like unbelievable. Kid was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and never played again.
The world moves pretty fast. It's a Peyton Hillis Madden cover right
there. That's right. Yep, that's right.
All right, Pat, thank you so much for joining us live. Thanks for everybody who stopped in. That was a lot of fun as well. Good luck with Patriots week, man. And I think we both agree that really, records aside, it is both the Mac Jones and Zach Wilson development throughout the season. Right. And then, obviously Buffalo looks terrific. They'll play tonight on Monday Night Football. And then we'll see. We'll roll the dice next year and see how quickly these young guys develop. That'll be the key if anyone's going to be challenging. Obviously, Buffalo, who has a stacked roster, continuity on the coaching staff and everything else. But, Pat, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.